All right. Yeah. So a lot of stuff's been going on, and we were like, we went on a little trip and came back, and I get back home, and all of this all these new toys are available. So I'm like, Dustin, we got to do a show on crazy software and gear, and he's like, that's cool, but I'm gonna miss it because he's got an event thing going on today. So it's like, okay, I think I can cover it. Have you guys been playing around with any of those new toys? Like the things I saw so far in March was Lightroom 4, the CS6 Beta, 5D Mark III, and an iPad 3. So Charlie, Christian, I'm guessing you've got like a 5D Mark III sitting there under the table.
No, I sent it back. I didn't like it. No, I'm kidding. I actually pre-ordered the 1DX instead.
Oh, did you? Okay, cool.
As much as I like the 5Ds, and I have two that I still use sometimes. There's something about the 1D bodies that I just like better, and so
it's a build quality kind of a thing.
Yeah, and I think they end up having little features that the 5Ds don't have, and that I actually use. I'm kind of a tech nerd, so I end up using like the high-speed sync. I think the 1Ds end up doing 300 typically, and the 5D ends up doing 200 or 250. Even though the 5D has the focus screen now, that was one of my biggest issues last time. It didn't have the same focus screen, so the old 5Ds only had 30
like a couple focus, yeah.
And then this one now actually has the same focus screen as the 1DX, so that's cool. But
that's interesting. So you get in there and tinker. So like on that about the sync speed. The thing I always had an issue with was like the 5D Mark II was rated at, what was it, like 200 or something like that, or maybe it was even 250. I don't remember, 2 or 250. But I noticed at 200 you could still see like a little bit of a black band there, and so I was like 160 was kind of like mentally my little limit on that. That new Pocket Wizard stuff came out, and I think I got maybe 320 when I had that working right, but it just wasn't worth the hassle to get that 320.
Mm-hmm.
So, how about you, Erika? Have you looked at that camera? Are you Canon or Nikon?
I'm Canon, and I've looked at it, but it's out of my price range right now. So
yeah.
I'm rocking my 70, but I did get the iPad 3. So.
Oh, we're going to get to that in a little bit too. Yes.
Yep. So I looked at it, and the 5D Mark III is definitely the camera that I want to upgrade to. I bypassed the 5D Mark II on purpose. I didn't like the focusing screen. I didn't like the frames per second. My friends really like to toggle, and they couldn't with it very easily, so I purposely didn't get the 5D Mark II.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I did notice they did jump up the price on that. It was, I want to say like $1,000 more for the Mark III versus the Mark II when it came out.
Yep. It was worth it, I think.
Yeah, there were some people that were making a compelling case, saying, "Okay, go get a Mark II now because it really still is a good camera." So I don't know. Maybe some people will do that. I think the price on that now is probably like around $2,000, $2,500, somewhere in that price range.
Yeah, you can get it for $19 if you look hard.
That's cool. Okay. That's cool. So, the 5D, the big thing with the 5D Mark II was, of course, all of the video stuff that happened with it, especially with like Vince LaForêt coming out with that Reverie film. And I think even he came out after the Mark III came out and said, it's a cool camera, but it doesn't warrant the same kind of attention that the Mark II did in terms of it being groundbreaking and revolutionary. And I guess now with Canon having that I forget what that new video camera is that they have. But it's kind of shifted focus away from in his mind, from using DSLR, like the Mark II and Mark III for that. But I don't know. I would like to play with one. I like the fact that the megapixel is still kind of around where the Mark II was, because I kind of do use that higher pixel count. But I'm sure it was like, did you guys have like your Facebook just totally light up the day it was like released or whatever, and people were like, got mine ordered, and then here's the box, and I'm opening it now, and shot my first wedding with it, and all of that stuff.
Did you see? I haven't read it yet, but apparently Jessica Clare posted a pretty detailed review about it. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't.
I think Becker or one of my other friends tweeted it yesterday, but I don't really
she
follow.
Liked it?
I don't really follow her site, so I'm assuming she did, but I haven't looked at it, so I don't really know. I'll see if I can pull it up and see if she.
Yeah.
Are you thinking about getting one?
No, I'm kind of in this mindset that, and I don't know where I got this from, but I got in this mindset lately that if I was going to buy a new, not rent, but actually buy a new camera body, I would be more interested in getting like some sort of medium format digital something, even if it was like a used medium format camera with a digital back, like an older camera with a digital back or something like that, just to get that quality of it. And I know people like Zach Arias and Drew Gardner. A lot of people love the Phase 1 kind of system, and it's just too pricey. But that's what I would want to do. And I was really hoping the 1DX would be it. And maybe it could be. But what I haven't seen yet from them are here's how the image quality is better. Here's more dynamic range or anything like that. I see lots of. You'll find like low ISO sample shots, which are cool, but that's not the kind of shooting I'm doing. So I want to see, better image quality at like 100 or 200 versus a 1D or 1DS. So I don't know. Maybe it will be, but I haven't seen that out there yet. I mean, when you spend like $6,000 for a camera body, it's not much more to get something medium format, even if it's like that old camera / back, combo I mentioned earlier. That'd probably be like around 9 or 10.
Yeah, isn't the Hasselblad, is it like 12 for the back?
It might be. I haven't looked too much. I haven't looked too much at them, but I want to say that those prices have been coming down.
Got it.
And so some people were thinking like, okay, the 1DX is going to be this Canon's like push into medium format land, and it wasn't. It was kind of like a merging of those two bodies with a focus on neither kind of a deal. It's like, yes, it's a great portrait camera, and yes, it's a fast action low light camera. So they kind of like met those two, but they didn't go into the bigger sensor image quality zone.
It seems like it's a reporter camera to me.
Yeah, it's like a really well-made, I'm sure the body construction is going to be great. I can't wait to get up to Oklahoma and play with Christians when it comes. When does it come, Christian?
I couldn't tell you. They're back-ordered, so it's probably late April or something.
Yeah. Did you get it off B&H?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They sent me an update this morning that said it's still back-ordered, which I expected.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. And it's probably one of those things where you play with it and you're like, oh yeah, I totally need this. Just figure out how to justify it to my wife.
I like the larger pixel size on that because it is full frame versus the crop sensor that used to be on all the 1Ds.
Yeah.
Except for the 1DSs. And the 18 megapixels is just about perfect, I think. I don't need 22, and I don't really want to have to fill up hard drives faster than I don't know. I mean, I typically use, somewhere in the 12, 13 right now when I'm with my original 5Ds, and my 1D Mark III is even a little bit less than that, and I have no problem making 20 by 30s and whatnot out of that. So I can't imagine why I would need 22 megapixels or 23.
I think 18 it's a great number. I wouldn't want to go less than that, and I'd jump all over it if they could show me that those 18 were, really high quality pixels, which they might be, but I want to see that yet. So let's talk a little bit about Lightroom. Did you guys upgrade to Lightroom 4? Are you guys even Lightroom users?
I'm definitely a Lightroom user. I got it the first day the beta came out. I've been playing with it ever since. I still haven't clicked to upgrade, but I will be in the next day or two because my beta expires.
Oh, well, that's a good reason.
So yes, I love it. I love how you can do everything about it. It just seems a little bit smoother. My images are a little sharper and just a little bit more refined, and I can push and pull things a little bit farther. I'm really impressed with it. So
you're seeing actually a difference in like jumping your exposure around a little bit and not having it completely blow out or turn to mud as much as it used to. Yep. And I can pull in details and the highlights and the lowlights a lot easier without making the whole image look mucky. So I like it. How about you, Christian? I saw the shaking head earlier, so he's probably like, I use Bridge.
I do.
Yeah.
ACR, Bridge all the way.
Yeah. So you don't have any system like as far as like, I mean, God, you must be shooting like 1,000, 1,500 images a wedding, unless you're like, I only shoot 50. I only shoot 50 images.
I shoot 8 a wedding.
8 at a wedding.
No. It's probably closer to 2,000, or if I have a second shooter, 2,500. So it's a lot.
So you're and Bridge is good enough as far as cataloging all that for you, or copying and pasting settings, or anything like that.
I don't know how everybody has forgotten how good Bridge is. Since Lightroom came out, everybody has forgotten Bridge. But Bridge and Adobe Camera Raw do everything that Lightroom does. It's just not as intuitive. If you learn on Lightroom, or if you're a newer, if you learn on Lightroom, then to go to Bridge seems like, wow, that's a lot of extra work. But if you've learned on Bridge, it's really just as fast. I mean, maybe if I got Lightroom and took that step back, I'd be slower at first, and then maybe I'd be a little bit faster. But I've got a good system down with it, and it works great for us. So
I'd have to try some tests, because my first thought would be Bridge would probably be faster than Lightroom, because you don't have the overhead of the database and all of those different modules and slideshows and book publishing and all that kind of stuff sitting in memory. I have upgraded, but at first I was like, I didn't see anything at first that I was really excited about. I mean, I wasn't interested in like the whole geotagging thing, or the blur books, or the changes to slideshow or whatnot. I think after I started playing with CS6, that's what pushed me, because I downloaded the CS6 Beta, loved it, and then I was like, okay, now I'm going to get this warning every time, because I'm going to be having some process going on with CS6 and raw images there that won't match up to Lightroom, because 3 was using a different raw engine than 6 was, and so that kind of pushed me into it. I mean, it was $79. It wasn't, overly expensive, but I think I will like. I have played with the sliders a little bit. I think I will like how the changes it's made to like highlight recovery and shadow detail and all that kind of stuff. But nothing in terms of, and that's the funny thing, is for me it's like it's just an image management program. I really don't do much processing in it, but they keep adding more and more processing stuff to this, and I'm like, where's the little switch that just says just use Lightroom to manage the images and let me do everything else in Photoshop? And I think then
why aren't you using Bridge?
I know, maybe I should. Maybe I should give Bridge a try, since that might make more sense. I'll have to wait for Christian's Bridge tutorials to come out. When are they coming out?
2015.
That's right. The old curmudgeon Christian talking, don't forget about Bridge, it's useful.
Well, the nice thing about Bridge is it's integrated automatically with Photoshop. It's not, you don't have to add another program, and I don't know. That was my first, that's why I first got into it. And then when Lightroom first came out, they had like kind of the duplicating libraries, and they were kind of, I don't know, I didn't want to have like duplicitous files everywhere. I think that did they fix that since then, or?
Well, the big thing with Lightroom was that it was always, and it still does this, it has to render those raw files into some sort of preview for you to look at, and people want to import those images and see them huge right away. What do you do in Bridge as far as that goes? I mean, is it like every image you look, it's like, please wait, and then it pops, or does it do that automatically? And
it does take a little bit of time to, like, it kind of renders them and generates a preview in Bridge, but it doesn't actually generate an additional file somewhere. I think it generates like a sidecar file.
Okay.
But it's really fast. I mean, I very rarely ever have to wait on anything. I import, full shoots of 500 or 600 images, and then I can flip through them pretty fast and call out the bad ones before it bothers even backing them up the first time.
Yeah. All right. Well, I will give it a try then. I totally, every time I see the word Bridge, I just go right past it. But now I'm curious. I will give it a try again. So what about?
You've already bought Lightroom, though?
I've already bought Lightroom, and now I'll go try Bridge. And
yeah.
For a while there.
My processing, and I do Lightroom, so it's like I like to just get everything set in there, and then very rarely, like the last shoot I did, I only pulled one picture into Photoshop.
Oh, really?
So.
So it's primarily like your processing.
Yep. Yep.
What about that? Oh, hello. Who are you talking to, Mommy? You're supposed to play with us.
Mama, who are you talking to?
This is my photo show. You need to go watch your show or something, okay?
Go process Mommy's images. Have you done the whole painting white balance thing? I think a lot of people are all excited about that.
I've tried it once or twice, but I don't usually use mixed light sources, so it hasn't been a problem.
That's true. That's true. I'm all over it, but I do it in Photoshop. But yeah, I think it'd be pretty cool. So let's talk about CS6. Did you guys download the beta for that?
Nope. I'm holding off. I'm not buying it right now, so I decided if I didn't want to tempt myself with the new Liquify and things like that. If I got into it, I figured I'd want it, so I was going to wait.
That's a good idea, probably. How about you, Christian? Did you try it out?
No, I haven't. I actually still use CS4 on my big.
Of course he does.
You know, I'm an early adopter with some things and a very slow adopter with other things. Like once I have it working, I hate to screw with it because it ends up, you know, other little things happen. I kind of learned that lesson early on, so I always wait. I'm actually like on my Big Mac Pro, I'm still running, I think 10.5.
I was gonna say you can't even be running maybe Snow Leopard, but certainly not the Mountain Lion when that comes out because there's no Rosetta support, so you can't run. I think isn't CS4 like a non-Intel version of Photoshop?
I think it runs both actually.
Oh.
No, CS4 is Intel version.
It is, okay.
But you can run it in Rosetta. I don't know. I forget. I've got different actions written up here, and some for Rosetta, some not. I don't remember why. But
wow. So you're happy in CS4 land?
You know, I'd rather spend my money on new Apple gear.
There you go.
iPhones and whatnot.
Yeah, that's good.
And the 1D Mark X or the 1DX.
Yeah, there you go. 1D Mark X. Yeah, well, I like it. I mean, I've played around with it, and it's been stable enough that I've pretty much used it full time now for my image editing stuff. There's some really cool things like, the ability to like search for certain layers, and a lot of this comes into play if you are working on images that have tons of layers. But searching for particular layer names is kind of cool. The way they give you the ability to filter and show and hide certain layers based on the type of layer that they are. Let's see, I'm going to pull up here some other stuff here that they've got this new thing now that you can kind of do a tilt shift effect, which I haven't played with yet. I used to use Actions for that. Totally Rad Actions has one that does that pretty good. But they've kind of built that in there, and a lot of times when they come out with these new versions, the first thing I start thinking about is what third-party application developers did they just kill by releasing this? And when I saw the tilt shift thing, I started thinking about it's not Nick, it's I think it's On One software has a little selective focus thing or whatnot, and I was like, that's gone. Who's going to want that after using this? They've also made some changes to the cropping tool, which is actually kind of cool. It's more like Lightroom now in that when you're cropping it, and let's say you're rotating your crop, it used to be in Photoshop, when you rotated the crop, you're actually rotating the crop around, and now it's rotating the image and keeping the crop there. It helps you kind of line things up.
It's far better.
Yeah, so much better. Because you don't have to like...
I never crop in Photoshop. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't crop in Photoshop. I would just wait and export to Lightroom and then do my cropping there because it was just too annoying to deal with it in Photoshop.
Well, plus I'd always be like, I'd finish my image in Photoshop, it's back in Lightroom, and if I cropped it in Photoshop, then I would be mad at myself because later I decided I didn't like the crop. So to me, yeah, I do most of my cropping in Lightroom. One of the biggest things that I really love is this background save thing that's going on. So if you've got an image open and you hit like Command-S to save, it starts saving and you keep working. And it's really weird. I'll have like an image open with like 20 layers. I hit save and I see this little progress bar going at the bottom while I'm still working on either that image or another image. And I'm not just sitting there, you know, waiting for a half-gig file to save. That to me was really cool. I like that. And then let's see, a lot of stuff here related to 3D, which I'm interested in, but I haven't really done anything with it. but
you didn't.
What's that?
You didn't mention about the rule of thirds and that Nautilus spiral in the cropping tool as well. I think I saw that.
Yeah, so in the crop dialog now, you can select different overlays, and I don't know if they just had like the little rule of thirds thing, and that was the only one they had, or if they ever had any other ones. But now they've got a whole bunch of them that you can select from and have it overlay when you're doing the crop, which is kind of cool. And also, something else I didn't mention was that whole content-aware move. So if you have like somebody laying down in a field and you want to move them to a different part of the field, you can select them. The idea is you can select them, move it, and it will fill in the rest. And I'd say, and from what I've read from other people, it looks like you end up with a good kind of starting off point. It doesn't work perfectly, and I don't know how it ever could, but it works good enough that gives you like a place to start from, and then you can kind of clean up from there. So yeah, that's pretty powerful. Video is huge. It has video support now for basically like a little mini version of Premiere in there, so you can import clips, drag them around, throw the titles, all that kind of stuff. And even getting back to Lightroom, Lightroom has enhanced video support as well, which is kind of cool. It lets you actually, all the kind of correction stuff that you would do on an image, like white balance or contrast, you can do on a video clip, which is kind of cool. It's almost what they would call color grading in the Final Cut or Premiere packages. You can do that to some extent in Lightroom. So have you guys done any kind of video work? Because you guys both have cameras that support it. Have you messed around with that before?
I'm just starting, but not really.
Yeah.
So we went to Disneyland last week, and so I decided instead of doing a photo album that we were going to do video clips, import it with some photos, and
yeah,
we'll see. I haven't to play with it, but I've got it all set up to do it. So
yeah.
All my clips are in Lightroom right now, waiting for me to put them together.
And how good is it as far as like playing those clips back? Is it pretty responsive, or does it have to sit there and crunch for a long time?
It doesn't take too long, but it's not great. I mean, I didn't find it fantastic. My kids, were kind of. It's not great. So
yeah. It reminds me of when the 5D Mark II came out, and it would kick out these video files, and the first thing you had to do was go convert them to some other format so that you could work with them at some reasonable level, because it was just too. It was like a compressed file, so when you brought it into your little video program, the first thing it would do is uncompress it while you were playing it, and that action would cause it to slow down while you were working with it. And so I was curious to see if Lightroom would do a better job of that. How about you, Christian? Have you done any kind of video stuff?
No, I sure haven't.
No, you're not going to shoot a wedding and stills and video at the same time?
I so seldomly get requests for it.
Fusion!
I know. I love the idea of it, and I've seen it done very well, but I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I say this now. I'd rather master the art of photography
there you go.
than try to be a videographer, too. But I know that's really old-fashioned and old school probably to think that. So.
It's like you got to have like a crew out there if you're going to do a video thing on any kind of shoot. I don't see it. Even on my stuff, I can't shoot video and still at the same time. It's a whole different, and that's just the mindset. It's the whole different gear thing. I think my tripod is about the only thing that I could use on a video shoot. Maybe if I bought a new head for it. It's just different lighting gear. And Erika, how were you like at Disney trying to wield that camera around? I'm sure it was a lot of.
Well, see, that's the thing. I decided I was going to I left my 7D at home and I went with my point and shoot, and I regret it. So, yeah, I would have taken the 7D around, but I don't have the tripods. I don't have the weighted thing to keep the balance right. There's so much gear involved in shooting video on the DSLRs that it's just, you can't do that and focus on pictures.
No, or
at least I can't
focus on enjoying a trip either. That's what I found.
Exactly.
We went to Italy last year. I've got relatives over in Italy, and so we went to go see them. And all I took was a 5D, a 50, and a 16-35. And I got some cool shots, but nowhere near the amount of shots that I would have gotten or would have liked to have taken if I was just by myself. I mean, it's like kids are running around crazy. You're trying to figure out where how to get a cab to wherever you're going, and squeeze a shot in whenever you can.
Yep, when I'm with my kids, I'm in mom mode. I don't even take the camera out on Christmas. You know, that's like, I'm mom, I'm not the photographer. So, you know, it's good because at least I don't have my face behind the camera for all the important moments, but, you know, yeah.
Now, how do you do, like, so in our family, I've got great shots of everyone but me. There's hardly ever shots, like a holiday or anything, like a birthday party. I'm just like, would someone please just take one picture? And I give the camera to my wife, and she's like, okay, I press one button. Which button do I push? And then she's like focused on the door 30 feet behind me. And
I have friends. Yeah, I have friends that actually shoot with me. They bring their cameras, and so it's like when we go to a birthday party, we're doubling up. So I'm in some shots.
That's cool. Okay. We have the family shots. Oh, well, all right. Well, let's get into real quick before we wrap up my favorite part, which was this little bad boy here. Brand new iPad. Where's the camera? There's the camera.
Hey, wait! You don't have a custom screensaver on there or a lock saver thingy? That's the one it came with. That's the one it came with.
I know, right?
You didn't even change it to one of your photos.
Look at this. This is all the apps I have too. I haven't even really like loaded it up or anything. It's I don't know. I just like looking at the water. I feel peaceful right now. But I'll
have to send you one of my silhouette shots.
Would you? That would be great. Send me one of your awesome beach shots. That would be cool.
Yeah, no, that's what I have on mine. I like it. It still gives a nice classic.
Yeah. People will be like, "Hey, your kids are those your kids?" I'm like, "No, it's some other girl's kids." I like the sunset behind him. That's why I had it on there. But yeah, I had an iPad 1, and so the 2 came out, and I was like, I don't really see. And then the 3 came out, and I was like, this is great. And I had ordered one from the website, and they're like, oh, it'll be 2 to 3 weeks. And then I went to the Apple store, and they're like, we've got every single one here. I was like, great, buy it now, cancel the online one. It's beautiful. What do you think, Erika?
It is. Now, I love it, but I'm also surprised that none of the portfolio apps, when you switch into slideshow mode, are geared for the high resolution. So yeah. I'm struggling with the fact that I can't use any of the portfolio apps that I bought to go with it, and I have to use the Apple ones because they're the only ones out that have been updated for the resolution.
So you're probably like me. You spend a lot of time in iTunes, like, look for app updates. Are there any updates? Are there any updates? What's been updated for the screen?
Yep. So that's the issue with it, but it has helped. I'm hoping that I'm hoping that I went to a bridal consult on Saturday, and it was really neat to have it there to flip through and to show her the pictures and to go over things, and but at the same time she could care less about the resolution. I think that now that I'm into it, I'm realizing I'm the only one who cares about the updated resolution. So
true. I mean, when they say you can't see an individual pixel on here, they're right. I cannot. I mean, I look on here and I get really close to it and cannot. All I can do is say, well, they haven't updated that app, and that app hasn't been updated. You can see that
exactly. You can tell. Yes.
So, how about you, Christian? Did you play around with it? Have you seen it?
No, can't say I have. I'm still using my steno pad.
I know it's gonna.
No, I'm kidding.
I study stenography, and so I really don't need it.
I'm thinking about taking up shorthand. I'm not sure.
Yeah, shorthand. That's right. That's right.
I'm representing all the old fogies today for some reason.
Well, you got to go up to Penn Square Mall up there. Is it Penn Square? Is that the name of it? Mm-hmm. Yeah. You got to get that store in their Apple Store and check them out. It's.
I like the idea of it. I still think I could just put reading glasses on and use my iPhone.
I tried that. I wasn't getting any clients showing them pictures on my iPod Touch. They weren't too impressed.
Here, look at this. No, really, look at it. I can't see. It is so much, and it's now. Erika, did you have one before? Did you have like the 1 or the 2 before?
I didn't. Nope. I kept holding out. My husband is an anti-Apple guy, and he kept going, you don't need that. Just use your laptop. If anyone really cares, they can just Google you. And so finally I broke down and got one, and I realized in some ways he was right, and in some ways I really am glad I have it, but it's not nearly using it the same way that I assumed I was going to be using it.
Yeah.
So.
I could see that.
And you know, go on.
Go ahead.
That's fine.
I was just going to say I've been using it. You go ahead.
Let's say I bring it with me everywhere I go in case, you know, people have questions or things, and I keep all of my updated things on it. So I just shot an event last weekend, so if I run into people who were at that event and they want to flip through the pictures, I have them with me. But it's not, it's useful, but it's not nearly as useful as I thought. I'm using it much more personal use than I am for photography.
Oh, yeah. If you want to talk about whether or not it's, like, useful for business, I don't know how much I use it for that versus just, like, watching, like, they've got this great, Christian, they've got this great NBA Game Time, or it's called Courtside, NBA Game Time Courtside. And so I can watch this app while watching a game on TV, and I'm getting, like, live updated stats on what's happening. Like, I'm a big Oklahoma Thunder basketball fan, so I'm getting, like, stats on what players are doing what and where they're shooting from, and I use it a lot like that. I mean, I try to be productive with it. There's a great app called iTeleport, which will show me my desktop, so I can be out somewhere and see my home desktop and, you know, do anything pretty much from there that I need to if I'm in a bind. And Erika, did you get the one with LTE?
I did not.
Okay. I did upgrade for that, and I could tell you it's almost like having Wi-Fi, like wherever I'm at. I mean, it is. For a while there, it was actually faster on my house than my home network, and I had to go figure out what was wrong with the network that I wasn't getting the speeds that LTE was giving me. So I figured out and fixed that problem. But it's quite noticeable, the speed bump over 3G, and I'm hoping that I'm sure almost that they're gonna put that in the phone later this year. That's way cool.
Yep. See, I want to get the contract app, and I want to get the model release app. Right now, I'm still carrying paper copies of those, and I think it'd be easier just to have, you know, them on the iPad.
How does that fit into, like, your work? Are you doing a lot of shoots with models separate from like family shoots, or is it like just like what kind of? Well, just anytime. Like, I think that it would just be nice to be streamlined, where they just sign digitally and then they get it emailed directly to them with the PDF, and then I have a digital copy of it, so I can go paperless. Yeah.
I'd rather paperless, especially with all of my model releases. So. Yeah, I think that would probably be pretty good, because when I've had them out, yeah, it's pulling out a folder and then signing it. I'm trying to.
I can talk to that, actually. We actually cutting edge technology right here.
What is?
No, I'm kidding. We've got the Easy Release app on the iPhone.
Yeah.
I've had it for a couple of years now. I love it. It's been fantastic. It's a little slower than actually pulling out a piece of paper and having them sign it, because they actually, you know, you have to enter their information and they scroll through it. And my paper release, I just had a place for their signature on the bottom, and I would just write in their name and stuff when I got back to the studio. So it takes a little bit longer, but it's really slick, and I still get people almost every session that comment on how slick it is that they can sign my phone. And so
now, can you customize that whole release as far as what they're reading? And
yeah, you can. I've left it just the standard boilerplate one, and it's ridiculously long. So most people just flip through it. And
the longer the release is, the more likely they are to sign it quickly.
That's true.
Is that what you guys have found?
Oh yeah, when I used to have a short release, you know, people would analyze every single, you know, aspect of it and worry about it and what are you going to do. And then I switched over, and I've been using the release for stock photography from Getty, and it's a page long, and it's legalese, and it basically gives me the rights to do almost anything besides defamation, and they have no issue signing that one. So, you know, it's real interesting. The more that they're giving up, the more likely they are to sign it easily.
Yeah, that's been my experience too. The only people who read it are the attorneys that we photograph, and even they still sign it. They still sign it because they're like, well, what am I going to do, you know?
Well, did he ever run into a situation where somebody wants to have looked at that release prior to the shoot, or is upset that they're having to kind of read it all right then and want to look at it later, or does that ever come up?
Not for me.
Never. Nope, but I did have a bride go over a contract line by line asking questions on 8 or 9 of my points in my wedding contract just this week, and we've been emailing back and forth about what each one of those means and why they're there and everything like that. So detailed contract reading I've had, but releases, not really.
Well, that's because the brides, they have those books that tell them, like, here are the things you need to get out of your photographer when you go to your meeting, and ask about this and ask about that, and it turns into this long process sometimes. I was always wary of the ones that would ask me that, like, okay, well, do we get, you could tell, like, it was like a checklist. Do we get the files? Do we get, is it film or digital? Do you take backup cameras? How many photographers will there be? What happens if you're sick? And it's like, okay, somebody's
yeah, and those I don't mind, but they were worried about, wait a minute, you might take me to the collections? I'm like, I've never had a situation where a bride hasn't paid on time. You know, it's like the likelihood of me taking you to collections depends on you.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so it's like things like that.
They're like, are we going to get sued out of this wedding? Are we married and get sued all of a sudden? Oh. Well.
So, yeah, so having that digital I think would be kind of nice so that they can have a copy, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'll have to play around with that app. I always was like, you know, with the kind of shooting I do, you know, they'll tell you to get releases all the time, but there are sometimes I would not get a release. Because if you shoot like an editorial thing for a magazine, then what's happened is that the magazine has worked out the deal with that person that you're photographing in terms of, hey, we want you for our cover or whatnot. You're being brought in to shoot that, not to get rights to, you know, go sell their image on some stock site or something like that. So I would usually never push to have them sign a release that gives me rights to do that, because they're like, hey, we're here for the magazine, not for you, kind of a deal.
But are you able to put them on your website as part of your portfolio?
Yeah, so what'll work is I'll work the deal with the magazine, and they'll say something like, okay, don't post them until 30 days after we go to print. And so and I've seen this a lot, what photographers will do is once the issue goes to print, the magazine will put up some PDF or something on their website or some little photo essay, and then we'll link to that or include some shots from that.
Okay.
And then, or even like go get the magazine and scan it and put that out there, just because the quality isn't too great. And then 30 days later, I'll say, okay, here are the actual images, or some of the actual images, plus maybe some ones that I liked that didn't end up in the magazine or whatever. So, yeah, it's like you do a cool shoot and then you end up waiting for a long time. You're like, I did this great shoot and I can't share it yet. I have to wait. So, but that's cool. I'll check out that release app, and I'm looking on here on mine to see if there's anything else that there's a great little weather app called Fahrenheit, which I just got, which gives me a great little forecast, because anytime I'm shooting outdoors, it's never about the temperature so much as it is about the wind, and I need to know the wind is like a big issue.
Do you carry sandbags?
Oh yeah, I'll carry sandbags on every shoot, and I can put 4 on a stand and still have it blow over depending on how windy it is. It's just it's all about like what modifier you're using. So
yeah.
Soft boxes and umbrellas are the worst. Soft boxes are right up there, and then it gets better when you use like a beauty dish, and then even better when you use just the light with just a little reflector is usually like the best. And height is every time you're stringing up lights on a stand, the higher it gets, the more it's, so like we'll do a scene where we like want to do this great shot, and the light we want to be up in the air, and we'll keep it down to the ground until it's time to actually take the shot, and then my little assistant will run over there and string it up and lock it down and hold it, and then bring it right back down again. So weathermen lie to me on wind reports, because it'll be like, oh yeah, in 2 days there's no wind, and then like the day of it's like, oh, it's 20 knot gusts. You're like, oh man, it like changes everything, because even if hair is not an issue for whatever reason, it changes what modifiers you're going to use and how you're going to approach it. So I do like that. There's another app which I have on my phone, but I don't have on the iPad, primarily because it's an app that uses the camera, and it is called Well, there's two. Sunseeker is one, which is 2 words, Sunseeker, and then Light Track, TRAC, which is 1 word. Those are cool because they'll show you where the sun is going to be on any given day in the future at any time. And
see, that's what yeah. Does it have the moon adapter too?
I think so.
Does it do the moon position?
Yeah. The cool thing with Sunseeker, maybe I can, I'll try to bring it up here because it'll use the camera, and I'm guessing now it'll use the camera in the new iPad because I've got one in there. Let's see now. I've got to calibrate this thing by doing this little figure 8 thing deal because it's there. It goes. All right. So I'm going to hold this up to the camera for you to see. But what it's going to do is it's going to turn on the camera, and it's going to show. It's like showing me a picture of whatever's on my camera, and it's going to show where the sun's going to be throughout the day. So I have to pivot it because the sun is like
perfect. I get it.
Back over there. So it's a cool way to say if you're scouting and you're like, where is the sun going to be? Here at 11 o'clock tomorrow. You can look and see that it's high in the sky or behind a building or whatnot.
That one's called the Sunseeker app?
And then the other one, the Light Track, does something similar, although it doesn't give you the camera view. Yeah, Sunseeker, 2 words. And then the other one is Light Track, LIGHTTRAC. It does something similar, but it doesn't use a camera. It just shows you a Google map, and it shows like the sun curving around, which is kind of cool. So I do like those. The camera's kind of cool on the back. I wish they would have done a better job of the camera on the front. Since that's the one I'm using, like I'll do like the FaceTime thing. I'd rather almost have that back camera on the front, to be honest. But yeah, overall I love it. No complaints. So Christian, you need to head to the mall today. Don't tell your wife, just go.
It's only $5.
Yeah. That's all right.
No, but yeah, I mean, I bought a new laptop, back in December, and then I bought the new iPad, so there's $1,000 towards my new camera that I spent on technology instead. But that's all good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've bought 2 new MacBook Pros.
Hey, all you need is like one job that like.
No, sorry. I guess there's a little delay. Sorry about that. We bought 2 new MacBook Pros in the last maybe 6 months.
No problem.
So I think we'll be holding off. I like them. They work great.
Well, just take that money you had set aside to upgrade to CS2 or whatever it was, and use that. Or better yet, buy your wife one and then wait for her to be like, "Oh, this is great." You'd be like, "Oh yeah, I guess I'd like one too someday," and then she'll like, "Okay, just go get one." Find a way to include her. Cool. Well, is there anything else? Any other kind of gear stuff? I mean, those are 4 big things that happened all this month. Anything else you guys saw out there that was cool?
What have you heard about
Not really. I'm pretty happy. Yep.
I'm assuming that not everybody's a Canon user. What have you heard about the Nikon cameras?
A lot of some people that who was that is going to get a, what is it, the D800? It's like the 30 megapixel thing or whatever, the crazy thing. I heard some people who were originally not going to get a camera decide to get that camera, that they were interested in that. Gosh, I don't know. I don't know too much about the Nikon stuff. Although I'm not very much a hardcore slam them. I mean, I'm sure they're great, and I would, if I had those, I'd be happy too. But it's not worth for me to change all my lenses and everything over for it. It's just not feasible. But I know those wedding people love it.
Yeah, well, I have a lot of friends that switched over when they were waiting for the 5D Mark III and it just wasn't coming. They switched over to the Nikon, and they seem really happy with it. They're good. It's just I started with Canon and I'm happy with them, and so I'm holding out. But yeah.
No,
a lot of people I know really, really do like them. So
and I mean, another thing,
just all my friends shoot Canon, so I can borrow lenses.
That's an important point. And something else we didn't talk about was that Canon released that brand new flash radio trigger solution thing, which is like a brand new flash with like a built-in kind of a pocket wizard thing, which sounds kind of interesting. Christian, would you use that at a wedding?
What was it called again? What was it?
The new Canon flash that has like the new trans thing that's like all radio based.
Oh, okay. No, I mean
something.
Yeah, I would use it. I've used the just the regular infrared a lot, and I actually just picked up a pair of radio poppers this year at WPPI.
Oh yeah.
And they're great. They work.
So you were shooting without the radio poppers for weddings? How did that go for you?
Yeah, for years. It actually worked great. I've never had a problem with it. The only limitation is it doesn't do, outside of the line of sight. So if you have it up on a light stand, it works great. At a pretty good distance too. I didn't really, in a regular reception hall, I never really ran into issues with it. But like doing anything really kind of cool, like at museums or around the corner, at bigger venues where I wanted to light from the side, where you couldn't see, you just couldn't do that unless you somehow were able to like use a mirror and bend it around the corner. That wasn't worth it. So I like them. The radio poppers worked really well, and they shoot TTL and high speed as well. So I can use them for like outdoor, daylight type things as well. So that works.
If I was still doing weddings, I'd be really, really interested in these new flashes because of the fact that it's all radio, and I was tired of taking like a 580 and like stringing a pocket laser to it and then trying to bungee the whole thing and go stick it somewhere and never.
But they're somewhere in the neighborhood of like $680 or something, aren't they?
Crazy. Well, and then they came out and said that unless you have any body that was released before this year, you lose a sync, like a stop of sync speed or something like that. Like if you're not shooting on a 5D Mark III or a 1DX with those flashes, you lose whatever the top sync speed is. It's less.
See, now I'm old school and cheap, so I'm using a 580 tethered, by a cable, and then I've got a 430 EX2 that I put in the softbox.
Yeah,
so it's like, it works fine for in-home studio stuff and playing around. But it'll be interesting when I get into wedding reception stuff how I'm gonna, I might have to buy a third flash so that I've got 3 going. So we'll get there.
It's like you want people. It's like I hope people understand I don't want people to think that like the light is any different. It's still the same light coming out of the same size case. You really, really are interested in it for what you can do as far as distance and positioning, and
Yep, and not having that cable attached, because that's my old school cheap way.
It was like every time I shot a wedding with like my little Gary Fong diffuser on top, like several years ago, and I'd hit something and it would just flop right off, and everyone's looking.
Oh, so annoying. And it's like there's certain situations where a modifier like that, it's kind of you need it, but it's so annoying. I hate how that thing falls off. It doesn't fit right. So anyway.
You remember that whale tail? I don't even know if he still sells that. He might, but I think it was called the whale tail. It was like this huge one for it. It was like had this big flap, and you could open the flap and let some of it go out behind you, or I don't know. It was. I don't know how. I guess just starting out, I felt that I needed that thing, and now, if I was in that situation, there's like this company called it's DEM. It's like DEMB or DEMB, and they just make it's a square with a little. Velcro thing that you just Velcro right on the flash, and you can bend it around or whatnot. And
yes, I've seen those.
That I need that thing works great.
See, what I've been doing is I made myself a homemade Better Bounce card using that foamy kids material, black on one side and then white on the other, and I Velcro it on, so I don't have the light hitting the people behind, but it's hitting what I need to hit, and that's only if I can't bounce off the ceilings.
Yeah.
So that works all right. But, haven't,
And you can, like,
I don't do too much.
It's not like a...
Yeah, or I can angle it to where I want it, and, it works all right. But I did my first hall reception with my flash naked and just bouncing, and it turned out great. Yeah. So, but thankfully I had white ceilings, and, they were only 20 feet up, but, yeah, it worked out great.
If you ever shoot a wedding with Christian, whenever he pushes a button on his camera, the flash that pops, you see like this big puff of smoke and this little... He's got to go over there and reload it for every shot, but it looks pretty good. It's great light.
I bet you it's pretty impressive.
It's really a warm light because of the gunpowder we use in it.
Yeah.
It's nice. It's nice.
He's got a flash reloader at home that he sits there and reassembles.
People think they're cool when they use film, but I go back to gunpowder now in my flashes.
That's great.
I actually use those DEM flippets as well, and I got the big ones. I love it. I use it all the time. It's easy to get them out of the way, and it really does give you a lot of forward bouncing light if you want it.
And it fits in the bag great, because all it
Yeah.
is that little thin square, and you can just fold it down, and it takes up no space.
My wife can't stand using it, but I use it all the time. So.
Yeah.
What does she use?
She does mainly second camera details and whatnot, so she just kind of bounces it over her shoulder typically. She doesn't mess with it too much.
Got it.
That's cool. Well, awesome. Well, we're coming up on the hour mark, so I'm going to wrap it up here. But this has been a pretty fun discussion. I appreciate you guys pinch hitting for Dustin today. I don't know what he's doing, but he's off having fun somewhere. So I'll have this, for you guys watching on Google+, we'll have this episode up at Photog TV later today or tomorrow, and you can download it, watch the whole thing, learn about Erika's love for the iPad 3 and Christian's arcane camera flash techniques.
Thank you.
So cool. All right, guys. Well, thanks a lot. I appreciate it. We'll catch you later on.
See you.